Good evening. How are you getting on, okay? I'm going to tell you a story, and it's something that I've had in my mind to do for a long time, and I want to just try and sort of share it with you. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you, straight from the get-go. There's no way I can get evidence of this story. The girl who is part of the story, I went to school with, and a close friend of mine who you've already met went to school with, and the close friend of mine, I'll reveal his name at the end and you can ask him, he did witness this, as we all did, in our class back in the 80s, back when I was about 14 or something, about 13, 14 year old. So the girl is sadly no longer with us. She passed away only last year. She were a nice lady. I'll be honest, I've not spoken. I didn't speak to her much, and I didn't really. I weren't really in their circle of friends, if you like, after school. So I didn't really get much to do with her. But I have got another friend who had a lot to do with her outside school, and she were a lovely lady, genuine. So, cast your mind back to what it were like when you were at school. Now, I know I've looked at some of my analytics and I can see some of you are a little younger than me, some of you might be a little older than me, but thanks for coming on the journey anyway. But this story, I've been dying to sort of say it and dying to tell it, but it's one of them stories where it doesn't need big production on a video or effects or anything. It just relies on, I guess, me telling this story and you listening. It's as simple as that, really. So back in when I were at school, just to give you a bit of an idea, if you like, school in the 80s in South Yorkshire. I've spoke about it briefly, but it was up and down. You had some brilliant teachers and you had some ones that weren't very good, I'll be honest. And I didn't really resonate with a lot of the core subjects that I had to work with, that I had to study. I didn't really do well with maths at all. I still struggle to this day, to be honest with you. I did really well with drama, and I think that's because I met Sharon through drama. That's another story for another day, but that's a good one. And we had to do English, of course we did, and a lesson in English is where it started, in this lesson that we used to look forward to on an afternoon, because it were a bit more low-key. Now, I'll tell you why, and it's probably the same today. It really, really were a good lesson, because the teacher, he was a bit groovy, a bit cool. He had a beard, he looked a bit 70s looking, even though it were 80s. He was smart, always looked a bit cool, and he was very good and very calming to listen to. He got a lovely manner, a lovely voice, and I'll be totally honest with you, he was very chilled out, so we could get away with having a bit of a laugh. And we did creative writing, and we did creative writing, like English writing and telling stories, and I used to write about all my horror stories and things like that, and he were really encouraging. He used to say, continue, Jonathan, it's a real passion you've got. But he said when I write my stories, my horror stories if you like, my handwriting would get messier when it came to somebody being killed, or so I was getting excited as I got carried away telling a story and writing it down. My writing would go all over the place. But yeah, so one particular lesson, and it were in creative sort of time, he invited us to either tell a story or bring something in from home that would be interesting for the class to hear. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it backfired, and I'm pretty sure it didn't quite go to plan what happened next. So, what I'll call the girl Julie. because that's not a real name. But she does. Her family do still live round here, so I don't want it. I don't want any come back any ill feeling. But let's say Julie said, "I've got something interesting to bring in," and it's actually a cassette. A tape, a C90, an audio cassette, just like what we used to record charts and that on. And I want to play something to you all. So we're like, cool, yeah, that sounds good. So, and Mr. Rogers were like, oh yeah, that's great, man, bring it in. He weren't American, but you know what I mean, he was cool. Bring it in to the lesson, and we'll all listen, and we'll have a discussion about it after. We did. And he rode up. So she fetched this tape in, right? And we had to have a cassette player. So I think Mr. Rogers had a cassette player, like in library section or something. Only them little. Do you remember them school ones that were like long? They weren't like ghetto blasters. They were like long, sort of like you play and record, and that's about it. And a big microphone on it. Yeah, so he fetched one of them in. And we're all sat quiet. There was some messing about in the background. He said, "Come on, everybody, be quiet. Let's listen to what's on this tape." And before she actually said what's on tape, she showed us a photo. And this photo were of I think it was the South Yorkshire Times, or let's say a local news paper, right? To our area in Yorkshire. And there were a clipping that she showed us that she said she'd had this tape, and I saw this with my own eyes. This tape had been sent off to be examined because what she said was, on this tape you could hear a ghost, right? And at that point everybody were like, what is it? But then I saw it with my own eyes, and I've been trying to look back through libraries and things like that about this clipping, and I can't find it, but it were a genuine piece from a newspaper, and it said that this tape's been looked at, right? Okay, so back in the 80s we didn't have unexplained sort of paranormal investigators and things like that. It was just like word of mouth, if you like. But this were a tape and a clipping from a newspaper, so it made us sit up and listen, if you like. And Julie were really quiet. She weren't like a trouble causer. She weren't somebody who was like known for making stories up, if you like. She weren't an attention seeker. She was quiet. She was a quiet girl. She was lovely. But we didn't see this coming. So I'll cut to chase. Gets the tape player out. Everybody's quiet now at this point because someone said go. Someone said, oh, it's in paper. We're all listening, and I could see, looking round the room, I could see actually a few people were a bit, a few girls and a few, not just girls, a few lads as well were a bit scared. It looked a bit nervous. They looked a bit apprehensive, some of them. I don't know if it were nerves or some of them might have been just, interested, I guess. Press play on tape, and everybody went quiet. And I always remember, hairs at the back of my neck are standing up now, and I can't. They actually are. I always remember there were a bit of laughter in round circle of people, pupils, all about 13, 14. A bit of laughter, and I thought, oh. And it felt a bit uneasy, that laughter. And thinking back, I think it were nerves, I think it were nerves. She pressed play on tape, and there were a little bit more laughter because what came on was just music. I think it was like an Elvis song. I don't know if it was Suspicious Minds or if it was something well-known Elvis, like she'd recorded it. As we used to do, record from record or radio onto a cassette, right? The song carries on, and we're all just like, yeah, what? The song started to slow down, and the singing became like whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, let's say, really slowed down, like the tape were going to chew up, right? And it were weird. But then over the song, you could hear whispering, like, just really weird whispering, and she rewound it and turned the volume up. And as the song's slowing down on the recording, you heard a voice, and it was clear but eerie, is all I can do. A weird sound saying, "Born again, born again, born again, never to die, born again." And it kept saying, "Born again, born again." And then it said something like, it ended with something like, "Born again, never to die, born into your family." I'm not kidding. I'm genuinely, I'm tucking back now because I can feel hairs on the back of my neck again. There were people running out of the classroom crying. Mr. Rogers had got completely, he'd lost control of the classroom. There were people saying, "Why are you playing this? Why are you playing this?" Girls running out crying. There were a couple of guys sniggering it back that probably didn't hear what we all heard. But everybody else was stone cold frightened, really frightened. And someone said, play it again, and Mr. Rogers came in and just stopped the tape and went, "I don't think we're going to have that story again. I don't think we're going to listen to that tape again. Thank you very much, Julie, for bringing it in." And there were parents complaining at school. There were kids, 13, 14-year-old kids, not like 6, 7-year-old. There were parents coming in, there were kids upset and really scared. Like, I don't know to this day what that were all about, that tape. All I know is she's listening to a tape at home, she's played it, and then the voice has come on. And she's immediately told the parents, I think. And whether somebody in the house, wanted to sort of, I don't know about get famous, because it weren't really fame, were it, going in local paper? But somebody told that story from that house, and it went on, and it were in paper because she showed it as newspaper, and it were you couldn't just photocopy back then something like a newspaper article. There were no PCs or things like that. It'd be, I think, probably almost impossible back then to do something like that. Certainly for her. So, yeah, it stuck with me. I used to wake up at night hearing tape going. It was really, really unnerving. And that is that is something that stayed with me. And I wanted just to share that, because what I want to do on my channel is look at some other stories from around area, and we'll talk, and I'll tell the story about it, and I'll ask people if they've got anything strange that they want me to speak about on here. I'm interested. Not so much in the far out stuff, but local stuff. I were interested then anyway. I'm thinking out loud, I guess. But I just thought I'd share that with you, because we've had to listen to that. And if you ask James, ask him, so what's this tape you heard when you were at school? Yeah. It were very, very unnerving. And I'm telling you now, ooh, it frightened me. It'll frighten me. What do you think then? What, it just, the tape itself, malfunction? Did somebody put it on there as a joke that backfired? Or was it paranormal? Did that recording tap in to a different frequency, to something else unknown? There was something there, and it were on that tape, and the full class heard it. It will stay with me forever. Cheers for watching, everybody. Not your usual sort of stuff that I put on, but in line with some horror stuff and some of the stories that I say I'm interested in. So, one question before you go. Is anybody from my class watching this? Can they comment in the comment section Like I say, I know, pretty sure James were in that class. But is anybody else that can comment in that section? Just to sort of let us know if you heard it. Just comment in section, yeah, we're in that class. We're in Mr. Rogers' English class. Somewhere in the 90s or 80s. Get them mixed up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe. Don't be too frightened, will you?